Talent, I think we're going to be hearing a lot from you today. Josh too. Um, all right, Talent, go ahead.
Yeah. So the first thing was the page migration part. Should I present?
Yeah, sure. Go ahead.
Um,
Hey, Siraj, have you been on a call before? Or is this your first time on this call? You might, I think, Siraj, you were on the last community call, right? Is this your first time on the website's call?
It is his first time. I think he's having a bit of an issue with his mic.
Gotcha. Okay. Nice. All right. Yeah, great. Good to have you on this call. This is good. Sorry for interrupting. Just wanted to say hi to Siraj.
so there are some design issues that Nikhil pointed out just for 6 seconds. Apart from that, I have migrated all the 3 books. And
To news, actually, you're really difficult to hear, man. Is there any way to get closer to the mic or anything?
okay. Is this better?
Yeah. Yep. That's a little. Yeah.
So migrated all the 3 books current which were there, and there are some design issue, some CSS issue with during in the mobile view, which Nikhil pointed out, like there are something wrong with the alignment of the books, which needs to be fixed, which I will fix today. Apart from that, if anything else, any changes are needed.
Guys, what do we do about the styling of those buttons that get the book? Are those all styled in individual modules, or can we control those globally?
Those are controlled globally. It would have been fixed if I think someone was working on the issue of changing the pink color, but I think that is inactive for a while. It's been inactive for a while, so I think I should take it up next.
Okay, gotcha.
Sure, if you can, or I'll find somebody else who would take it up because I know you have a lot on your plate. And Josh detailed the issue pretty well, so anybody could do it.
Uh,
Is that the same thing for the? I suppose it is like the same thing for the color of the hyperlinks.
these
Yeah. Well, I guess
Yeah.
I wasn't. Yeah, it is pink. I wasn't as much thinking about the pink as I was, or as I am the blue.
I also wanted to discuss that which color I should choose apart from blue.
Yeah. Yeah, we don't have that itemized. If it might be interesting to, well, on the current Layer5 site, there's a light blue that gets used for the hyperlinks. There's a shade of blue that's used on the SMP site, and that shade is documented in the Layer5io/brand page. Maybe we could try that blue. I don't know.
This
Yeah. It's about as dark as the other one, but this is cooler, cooler in color. The other one's a bit more of a navy blue.
Yeah.
Uh, is the data of service mesh performance duplicated?
Nikhil, what did you say?
I guess the service mesh performance brand section has been repeated. It's coming up twice.
Oh yeah.
Oh, I see. Uh-oh. I'll take an issue on that right now while you guys are going.
That's a funny thing to have happened.
Is it just the SMP section?
Yeah, I think so.
I guess it happened after the last update from Manish on the brand switch by mistake.
Tanuja, if you go to the top of this page, is the color scheme okay? Yeah, the color schemes are nicer. That's good.
Uh, Tanuj, if you go back to the books page, yeah, if you open on, first of all, there's the height of the cards. It's not same. I just noticed it right now. The last card is a bit shorter than the other.
Yeah, yeah. I will. I'll fix the card. I have to fix the card size, I think.
And if you go inside one of the links,
Yeah.
so okay, so we are mentioning the book name at the top of the page, and then again we are mentioning the book colon the book name. So means I was not sure
Yeah, yeah.
which we should proceed with. That's why I picked it on the call. To keep
Yeah,
this
it was.
book like this book colon the book name or the top one.
Yeah, it was actually like this on the current site, so I copied it from there. I
Yeah,
thought.
yeah. It's not the best current site. Um, th- there's and that was in part based on how the cards work on the other site, on the current site. Here, um, there's maybe two things that we could do. One is where the line that says book colon and it has the title of the book, that's just text inside of the post or inside of the page. We could probably be rid of that second smaller line and and just leaving the byline, the
This.
sub, yeah, that one. I realize this would be kind of a special case, but I think that this is true. Like for for books, this is a custom module. Is that right?
Uh, it's.
As
Yeah, yeah, yeah. It's for books. It's a custom.
cool. So in that case, we're probably okay modifying this. If we can probably remove the byline.
Yeah, yeah,
Because this is not as much this isn't a post as much as it's just a page that says, hey, there's a book here and this is what the book is about. And then in the description of the book, maybe toward the bottom, does it say, it probably says who it says
yeah,
the author and the publisher and the date. And so that's probably enough for, that we don't need that same name twice.
yeah.
Also, on the first book, the author name is pulled out. If you go to the first book, yeah, at the
Yeah,
bottom, the author name and
I think, yeah, that's a great point, Nikhil. By the way, this style is a little bit better. Maybe we would invert whether we're bolding authors and then have the names
yeah,
in regular.
yeah. I was
Yeah,
thinking
that
of the
would be
same
nice.
thing. So
to news. Does that make sense? There were like, I think two things being pointed out. The one is that the structure that we were sort of structuring the text here at the bottom on multiple lines. And
Yeah.
for my part, it might be nice if these three or four pieces of information are, entered on multiple lines for easier reading.
Okay.
And the second, which is how it's structured here, which is good. It's just not structured that way on the other page, and that's not your fault. Again, that's how the current. I mean, whatever. But then the second piece of feedback was potentially to invert, to swap the bolding. So moving the names to a normal font weight, but moving the label authors to a heavier font weight, and for each of the three things.
Okay.
Also, the points over here have a different text color than the body of the book.
Can you repeat that, Nikhil?
The points that are mentioned, the hope is that readers will, and the points that we have deleted. The color of the text is different than the above text.
Yeah, I think it's bold. I have.
Yeah, kind of.
Yeah. Okay, I will remove
Is
that.
it intentional or it was there from previous?
Yeah, it was from the previous. I just copy pasted the empty files.
Okay, okay.
Should I move on to the next part?
Yeah, maybe one other piece of feedback is, and this is okay to have this feedback, I think, since it's a custom module, but it is so the by where we have by Lee Calcode and Zach Butcher, that you know let me take back a piece of feedback that I'd given, and that's if you're removing the second title of the book, I think the one what we might want to do is to remove the authors at the bottom and go ahead and leave it in the byline. It makes sense. Like usually you have the title and then who it's written by right next to it. So Tanuj, maybe how does this sound? And I guess how does this sound to everyone else as well? If you were to leave like early release and the published date, those two dates here at the bottom, swap the weights of the fonts. As you scroll back up, I guess maybe you could go ahead and leave the first title, leave that there, and actually you could just leave the byline there as well, because it wouldn't be like a post. Like the post is by Lee Calcode and Zach Butcher. It would be the book is by these two people. That second book with the italics, Istio up and running, that could be removed though.
Okay.
And then when you go back to the card screen or the collection, an item to tack on to Nikhil's feedback might be that there's a published date for the post that was written to put the, to list the book. I don't know if that's relevant here or not. Like, I don't know that, because we're not really trying to treat this collection as a collection of posts that are categorized for books. Rather, we're just trying to treat this as a collection of books, of pages about books. And so when that page was published is maybe irrelevant.
Mm, yeah,
So
yeah, that makes sense.
nice. Okay, yeah, maybe we would just remove the date here, I guess.
Okay.
And then, yeah, I mean, other than that, like, yeah. Well, we should get a better system down of how we're taking, how we're down that feedback. Who's sharing the screen right now?
I
Okay, great. Shriti, if you would, if you can jot those meeting minutes down while we're going. Maybe you already are. But,
I am. Sure.
cool. Thank you. Cool. What do we have next?
yeah, I added the news template. Just I only issues are needed to be created, so uh, all the news can be migrated. I think any newcomer can do that.
Yeah. So Suraj, this is potentially a great way of getting your feet wet with Gatsby. Because yeah, Suraj, I'm no doubt, given that you're comfortable with a few other JavaScript frameworks, like
Yeah.
no doubt you'd be successful here. Couple of quick things to give you a feel to orient you to this, Suraj. That is, there's on Tanuja's screen, he's on the Layer5 repository, and the Layer5 IO, that's the name of the GitHub org. Layer5 is the name of the repository. The repository, it's slightly, yeah, Josh or Tanuj is going to write it to exactly where I was going to say. There's two sites that are contained in the same repo, and they're actually largely two totally distinct sites, because like the current one that's running when you visit layer5.io as an address in your web browser, that site is what you're seeing inside of the master branch. It's based on Jekyll and and has been the site for a year. Tanuj and Josh and some of the other talented people on the call are acknowledging that its time has come, that it's time to make a much more intriguing and robust site that will contain many more pages, much more content. And so to get us off on the right foot, they've identified that we'll run, the new site would be based on React, but specifically the Gatsby has a framework, and there's a lot more power in there. The thing is it's so there's a second site, the Layer5 NG for next generation, like the second version of the site. It is stored inside of the branch called Layer5 NG, and it's a totally different, it's a lot of the same content, but it's a totally different code base. So there's a little, so if it's been a while since you've messed around with a bunch of different branches and pull requests and things across different branches, this is a good way of getting back to that from a Git perspective. But it's also a great way of what Tanuj was just showing about news. If you visit layer5.io/news, you'll find that it's a simple collection of different happenings or different articles where people have talked about things that that we've done, and so each of these individual pages, each of these individual cards needs to be migrated over to Gatsby. Tanuj was just saying that he's created a sample, a template for to help migrate that content over. Now, and so that's a beautiful way for you to begin to get your your fingers dirty with Gatsby. And so I'll pause there and just say, does that description make sense? And Suraj, I know you were having some audio challenge issues. So
Hello, Lee.
there you go. Hey,
Can you hear me?
yeah.
Yeah, I just pulled the repo you were talking about, like Layer 5, and in it there is a branch called Layer 5 NG. I actually started developing the page, and I have also messaged Tanuj about it. So he said that today there is a meeting. You should jump in. So I'm here.
Awesome.
I actually also done some some tutorials for Gatsby in couple of days back. So I've I've come to know number of things about Gatsby, but there are more in it. Like there are more complex things according to me personally, which I'm not able to cope up with on brand page. Actually, Shruti assigned me an issue regarding brand page. So that's it from my side, Lee.
Nice. Yeah, that's great, Suraj. We should note today's date is like the 14th of September. I bet if when we get to like the 15th of October, you'll be talking much differently about how comfortable you are with Gatsby and things like I've little doubt that you'll get pretty comfortable quickly.
Yeah, I hope
That's
so.
great.
Thank you.
Yeah, especially if you're hanging around Tanuj or Josh here, you'll get whipped into shape, I suspect. Yeah, cool. So there's one other caveat just to mention briefly, and Tanuj, Nikhil, and Josh, and Neil, and everybody, something for us to think about a little bit. Maybe this is something for us to rectify. Tanuj, if you go back to the news page with the collection of news on the Layer5 IO site, there's kind of two types of listings on that page. And yeah, Tanuj, if you were to go to the last tab that you have open, the Layer5 IO/news.
I am on that. Is it not
Oh,
visible?
you are. Cool. Yeah, no, it's delayed. But you know what, that's fine. To speak to it briefly, there's kind of two types of entries. One, and you can see it in the small yellow button. One will have an ellipse and one will have an external link icon. The two icons are different. And so the one with the external link icon, for the most part, there we go. It'll like probably directly take you to that page externally. And maybe this is behavior that we should change. Like it would seem like every article that we have here should have a small blurb at least about what the article, what the article is about before it redirects you. So it's probably something for us to rectify as we move over.
I am looking at that. The news articles having the external link also have a separate section for the Layer 5 site, but it is only open when you click on the image.
Yeah, you're right. Not very good. Like we should to news. I assume that that there may not be anything for you to account for inside of the news module in the new site. It's probably just when we migrate the content over that we should not. I think when we migrate the content over, we won't have that issue because the cards on the new site, there's only one thing to click, and it's like the card itself, which would take you to the full page describing the article on Layer5 IO. Okay.
There is also another button, like I added for the external links. So if there is an external link present, that button will be shown. Otherwise, it won't. So basically, there will be two buttons: one to go to the article itself, and another external button to take it to the external article.
Oh, cool. Do you have an example of what that looks like on the new site?
Yeah, yeah.
Oh, you know what? Yeah, you were probably showing it the whole time. It's just that your sharing is delayed. I think the screen share is delayed. So let's see.
Yeah, I think so.
It's still catching up. But Neil, if you have a joke, like right now would be a good time for one. We could use a joke for a minute. I don't know.
I guess you asking for it was the biggest show. Yes, I was laughing hard here.
Good.
Oh,
Is
But
this
cool.
visible?
I'm very sorry for that. If I blew anyone's eardrum out. Yeah, it is. Now the screen share is caught up, and oh, dang, I just broke my microphone again. Dang it. It is. That makes sense. I see how the two are there. One is the see more, and the other one is the external link. I wonder, just as a way of being nitpicky, if we might be able to get those onto the same line and sort of have them on opposite sides of one another, but on the same.
Yeah, okay.
Oh, dang, I need more super glue now.
shall we also add some text for that? It's to let the user know what that button actually does.
Okay.
Like a short description.
No, like we have the CMO button, CMO text beside the right arrow. So like go to link, then that button. But I guess that would make it more congested. And
Just adding an opinion here, and I could probably be wrong, but that icon is self-explanatory. I think it doesn't need text. Maybe.
yeah, I was just asking if that's needed or not. Good. Then I guess what Lee suggested would be best instead of adding any text, only keeping it on the same.
Yeah,
Yeah,
could be a
sometimes keeping it minimalistic is better, I guess.
yeah, Nikhil. Let me just pile onto that and say that's such a horrible suggestion. Actually, when the two get separated from one another, it would be a good time to come back to reflect to kind of ask that same question, like, is it intuitive enough or does it need a label? And is there enough room at that point? And so, well, fair enough. Moving on. What else do we have?
I'm done for my part. Josh, you're next.
Yeah, so like, should I present or Lee, would you be presenting your screen?
I can if it helps, but I otherwise to take it away either way.
Like, I don't have any local changes, so I think you can you can share it and uh, because if there, like, it will reduce the uh, what can you say, delay, something happens, something like that sort.
Sure. Let me. I'm trying to set my microphone down without it falling over because I just broke it again. The stand. Hold on. Maybe I shouldn't be so physical with my microphone.
I guess the joke costed you a stand.
Yep.
Yeah. The joke's on me, man. Cool. All right. So Josh has been knocking out a few things. One of those was the features page.
Yeah, so like, can you scroll down a bit in the pricing module? I have just, like, for currently I just added the features.
Sweet. Nice. Yeah. Oh man. Boom. I like the period on the end of this sentence here. That's kind of, it's just a statement of fact. It's just, that's what it is. We may as well have the in like font 96 or something, the service mesh. Okay, so adopt and operate any service mesh with confidence using nice. We might be able to lose the period here, just as a, but my goodness, look at the number of service meshes that this thing supports. So 10 different sounds. So some things that are kind of, I think, just as a consumer, if you will, or as someone deciding whether or not to use this thing, it's like numbers pop out like, okay, hey, I'm getting value. There's some inherent implicit value to like this many things I'm getting. Okay. That's good. I know it would be a tall listing, but it's certainly, excuse me, a much more impressive listing when it's like there's like 8 of these check marks, like boom, boom, boom.
Yeah. So I like I just totally get your point. I thought of the same, like, for each, and like it would be like all the service messages are currently present. So like for all of them, we could have a single line and a check mark along with that. But the issue was like it was taking very long. Like it would be something. So
Yeah.
like I can try it. Yeah, but
Nice. Well, it might also be, we might be able to open this up a little bit. If we were to take and recategorize this validate bit, if we move that to, well, we could either move it to under the configuration column, or I realize if we have 4 columns here, it might start to get a bit tight. But the validate is arguably kind of its own category of capability. It might, I wonder, yeah, you might have to play with this a little bit. Like, what does it look like if there's 4 columns? Is that too squished? Okay, if that's too squished, maybe what does it look like if there's a configuration block? And then beneath since configuration is the shortest, and since configuration and validation are fairly well related, what if there was a style of a column that has, it's the same column, but it has 2 sections. And by sections, I don't necessarily mean like two totally independent blocks, but rather it's the same column, but you just have like a horizontal row, or just a small, like a dashed line or something that segregates them. But it looks, they're part of the same div, they're part of the same block, but there's a little bit of separation. And it still would have like validation in big, large font, just like configuration.
yeah. So like I'll just try that thing. Also, there was a thing like, as we planned in the previous meeting, like it could be the features page won't be just for the Meshery, and we could include it for other projects as well. So I thought that the performance column might not be a part of the Meshery features for very long. So like, in case that thing happens, we can like scrap it out from performance part or something like that.
Yeah, good thinking. In this case, performance will be a fairly uh, big set of features for Mesheries. It'll probably be there for a long, for a long time, but yeah, but that's good thinking. You're right about like there's an alternative perspective. Like there might be a couple of ways in which, or there are a couple of ways in which we want to show off Meshery's capabilities. This is a good one. Another one is, well, like in some respects, it's kind of showing off its capabilities and its documentation at the same time. And it's the plight of every piece of management software. And what it is a compatibility matrix. And it's sometimes it can be used impressively. If it's visualized well, it's kind of impressive. And that's to say, well, there's 8 different service meshes that Meshery supports. So that's kind of nice. Like there's just a set of checkboxes, but actually each individual service mesh, they are pieces of software themselves. So Istio is on release 1.7 now, but it was 1.6, 1.5, 1. Like, and which one of those do we support? Like, and so you start to get this matrix going on of, just showing like hey, does Meshery run on Kubernetes and on Docker and on Windows and on Linux and on Mac? Like we have that supported platforms table. So like that table plus the supported service meshes table. I'm not as a separate interface, not messing these up, but as a separate interface, there is something of a compatibility matrix, more or less just a pretty table that we can use this same data to show off its, it might be like on the Meshery project page itself, we might have a more detailed compatibility matrix.
Yeah, so like the features page on the Meshery website could be like thought of something we can change in that a bit, but like for the layer 5, I think the features, the 3 columns would be like sufficient for now.
Yeah, particularly on the home page, like you have it now. Like this is while these features are specific to one project, to Meshery, Meshery is the biggest project. It's a lot about, it has a lot to do with what Layer 5 is about. And so showing the Meshery features on the homepage here can make a lot of sense. To your point about getting super detailed about the specifics of the project and showing that on Meshery IO, that's totally appropriate. When we think about a user visiting here and the page goes on for a while and we'll end up repeating ourselves like if this is left here on the home page, we'll end up repeating ourselves a little bit, which is fine, on the Meshery page. And it might be that we would want to, like, it is something good to kind of show off as like, we support, Meshery is supported running in all these platforms. So it might have a place here as well, I guess is what I'm saying. It doesn't have to. It kind of depends on what else we're able to bring. So we do want to start to bring some other stuff, like Shriti was brainstorming on video. And sorry, was brainstorming on video and how to make sure we've got the right voice on the video. And my point is like, yeah, this page, the Meshery project page, should have some tutorials, some overview videos. I had a principal engineer at Cisco asking the other week for, they had come over and taken a look at Meshery. They looked at Meshery. And one of the questions they asked was, oh, great. You know, are there any I don't know if they said tutorials or like, they might've said tutorials, like tutorials on Meshery. And I was like, and at first I thought that it was an ill-placed question because they're a principal engineer and they should know how to just like use a piece of software. But it's not, in so much as actually, like, Siraj, if you're still on the call, which I can't tell. He's not. But for anyone that joins just the community here, a lot of times we point out that there's workshops. And basically the workshop and the labs that people walk through, those are basically tutorials. And so actually walking someone through some features of Meshery in a video and putting it here, a very good idea. It's something we'll try to get figured out, but. So sorry, Josh, I think I kind of meandered all over it. Going back to the features, like this is exciting. It looks good. Obviously we're going to be on a mission soon to like kill the pink.
So I was wishing to take it up in my recent PR, but as the last guy hadn't replied or asked for help or something, so I thought like I'll give him time, or like at last we can do something by auto.
Sure. Yeah. You know what? I appreciate both that you guys think in that regard, to open up space for others to come and play, get their feet wet. It also is good because to the extent that you're able to shed some of that, hopefully it works out that you're able to shed, part of doing that is shedding some load so that you can go on to the next, custom module. On occasion, I'll drop in just to try to help out a little bit because it doesn't take much to put something here. Last time that we were talking, I think I was sort of saying I'm remiss on, it's frustrating to me that like it wasn't more obvious to me how to make something like this little visual globally styled as versus like independently. Some of the visuals that a lot of the visuals that we're using, they're leftovers from the theme. I don't know if like these little squiggly lines and like these grids, and if that's like really what we want to be using at, for lack of anyone else creating something, they probably are.
Yeah, so those particles are like available, like we can add them in any page or any section we want.
Yeah, these guys too, yeah. There were a couple of others that were, I thought like the issue with the squigglies is kind of that they're squiggly, or rather they're not hard. And it's not that we want the site to convey hardness and rigidity and like super sleek structure, but this is maybe a little too slightly more playful than I would have if we were designing from scratch, like I would have imagined. I thought somewhere else on the site there was a few other straight line. Yeah, here. Something, even these have a little bit of, maybe my eyes are playing tricks, but it looks like they have a little bit of wiggle, and then that's fine. But it's much, much reduced. And so this sort of a style is maybe slightly better aligned. The circles are probably fine. There is like some, so you know how Josh, you put these in and the idea was, hey, we've got some things floating around anyway, so why don't we make them relevant? Like, why don't we have our projects floating, or why don't we have like the logos of different service meshes floating? And I think as it turns out, I think we've all concluded, that they're too, and I know you know this, but I'm just trying to think aloud, while it's the case that these are too distracting because maybe they're too real, like this is really a thing that's really Meshry and that's really Image Hub, and really that the things that were floating around before were easy to ignore because they were just like squigglies or whatever, like they didn't mean anything. Maybe there's somewhere in between, like we might just need little floating particles that are easily ignored but are slightly more relevant to service mesh things. And I don't know
Yeah,
what
so
that
like
is.
we need to work on the styling part. Like,
Yeah, I wish I had a collection. And we do have we do have a collection of various SVGs for all of us to go and use a bit. And that's actually what a recent email was about, was like, we kind of consolidated our shared drives. As we did, there's a folder here that has much of our assets and logos and things for each of the sites. So under assets, there's a general SVG library. Some of these are things that we've made or just things that are available to us that, can be, easily restyled since they're SVGs. I don't know that these are all consistent with one another, or I would say that they're not consistent with one another in terms of, but this is some good starter stuff. Like this one is a good example of, a lot of times this will mean you'll have nodes and edges, and that means a network related thing. So something like this floating around kind of makes sense because there's a network behind a cloud, and like that's anyway. I still don't know if we actually want that floating around, but my point is, as you guys, there's a bunch of resources in here to potentially put to work. I don't know. So this works out well because this sort of fits in with the workshops icon that we have. By the way, just one other thing that you've probably seen some conversation about, some chatter about is, and Neil is probably putting the most effort in here, and that's animating the SVGs or finding some animation framework. Neil, guys, I'm sorry that I kind of went on for a long time, but it's actually a good topic to bring up for a moment. Neil, what's your latest thinking there?
Like I did watch some videos on YouTube and did a research upon the animated stuffs, and I found that GSAP is really good and snap.svg is also good. But the best way to create one is using Adobe products like Adobe After Effects and other stuffs.
Nice. If that's the case, if anyone's going to work on, earnestly work on creating animations for the site, and we're identifying something like Adobe Edge, Adobe Animate as the thing, Layer5 will fund the subscription necessary for people to have access to that software, if that's helpful.
I don't know. Means when you asked about that in the website channel, two of them, I guess, Fever and one more person was, I don't remember the name. They insisted on working on that one, on the animation and the SVGs.
Yeah, Flavor and they were just two people that had signaled interest, but there's really we very much so do need some movement, you can see this being drawn out and like that. I mean, it doesn't have to be that intricate necessarily, but yeah, just how those little things, yeah, the movement back and forth is pretty awesome.
So yeah, I had a point when you were discussing about the features page. So when we have the project page ready for each of the projects, are we going to list, means we are going to list the features and other aspects of the project. So we can try out some animations like this that we have on, that we can see on this Drapi site for listing the different parts of the project. Like the card which will be animating right and left. It's something like that. Will show up the features or some screenshots from the project or the site which
Yeah.
show that part. Also, we are going to get rid of that get started button.
Which one? The which button?
And get started on below the column of the features in the features section. When you hover on the one of the column, the get started.
Probably it would be good if people can interact with this somehow, like if they're interested in knowing more about the particular item, or for the moment, like pretty much we would just, if they clicked on anything, we would probably just take them to the Mastery project page. And so maybe for the moment, this isn't,
like for configuration part, if when we have the Mastery project page ready, we can drop them on the setup, getting started section of the page. Like,
yeah. Yeah. Yeah, I do. I think we probably, I mean, we want these to be interactive. We do want people to be able to click and take them somewhere. Since we don't have the content at the moment, it's not the, you know, it's not the best experience, but I think that we'll get there. And to your point, that sounds about right. Like immediately we would probably just drop them onto the project page and into the getting started section. Or if there is a section that goes further to detail, like you had said, to kind of detail configuration management with a short video or something, we would probably take them there.
and as far as the migration of data is concerned, means I just have a point. Means we can, when Shripi have the, you organize that newcomers meeting, you can just do a checkup. Means if anyone is working or not. Otherwise, we can start working on that. Otherwise, it's on a hold for a long time. Like some of the data can be migrated easily, but it's been on the hold for a while. So if
Sure.
there may be a reason that some may be busy or some occupied with some other work, so we can get rid of that and move work it.
Sure.
Yeah, it's a great call out. I mean, Suraj, since you're the lucky one that's here, like it's really nice. You there's a bunch of opportunities for you to,
Yeah,
and everyone on the, you know.
yeah, I'm looking forward to it.
Oh, nice, nice. Well,
Raj,
so
uh, you had some questions about the brand page. If you want, you can ask here.
Actually, Tanuj, I've actually created a brand page, and let me open that page. Can I share screen, please?
please.
Okay. Guys, where is the share screen button? I don't know.
It's hiding now that you're trying to find it. It's are you on Windows or are you on
Ubuntu actually.
nice.
I
It
guess it will
should
be
be on
on
the Zoom
the
app. Yeah.
Yeah.
right hand side bottom.
Suraj, is it just a PR that you're trying to share?
Yeah, yeah.
I can do that for you if you want.
Yeah, thank you very much.
Sure.
So in the meantime, like it gets open, I like just add, as Tanuj said, the news section has been ready. So Similarly, the blog projects part is also ready, so like we can go on migrating the projects data even.
Hello.
For the projects part, we are going to have a separate design. Yes, just asking. I'm not sure.
Yeah, I think that's yeah, I agree. Nico, you're right that on the projects, like you can move over the text and some of the pictures and things, but inevitably, and that's good and that's helpful. Inevitably, to Nikhil's point, we'll come back to each of the projects and probably give them quite a bit of customization to, really highlight all the project capabilities.
Uh, yeah. So there is a numerous like number of assets and images and things associated with the brand page. So actually, I'm a little confused about like it is already there or should I put it in the asset folder? So how should I approach this thing? So that is my concern actually. And also, if there is like some assistance provided by like whoever already working on the ng repository can assist for like beginning issues. uh, I mean initial issues for initial issues the existing guys can assist better, so it will be non-breakable. I think it will not break in future. Like it will be better to assist
Yeah, yeah,
newcomers,
it'll be
so it will be like we will aware of the ecosystem,
totally, yeah, like kind of pair programming on the first one or two um, migrations or the first one or two things that you're doing inside the NG site. That makes a lot of sense. Like it'll save you a lot of time, and it might save some of the others on the call that would be reviewing the work. It might save them a lot of time, as they would have. There won't be as much to review or as much feedback to give because it would have been done,
yeah.
in the right way from the start. So
I actually
yeah,
messaged Tanuj also on Slack for this thing.
nice. That's perfect. I mean, Tanuj is wearing his meshmate hat proudly this week. So.
Yeah.
Perfect.
I
No
was
doubt.
just going to point out that it's time to get him a mesh mentee. Like,
That's right. So Suraj, no doubt these guys will be in touch. Like and to your first question about where to land the brand assets in the new NG site, good question as well. Do we want to answer that real briefly? Like those assets, sometimes it's the appropriate thing to do to store the assets inside of the custom module. Sometimes it's the appropriate thing to do to reference those assets centrally.
Uh, Actually, already Tanuj stored. I think the guys who were working with NG repository, they actually stored like numerous data in assets actually. So that's what like I want to ask.
So what we did was,
Tanuj can ask. Sorry, Tanuj can actually elaborate the thing.
yeah. So things which were
Yeah, yeah.
going to be used in a single page, we are storing. I was storing it in the custom module itself, and the things which were going to be used again and again, like the SMP logo, etc., that were stored in the assets folder.
Okay. Or have you already developed like cards, the cards which I want to use in brand page? Actually, they are already developed by you, or I should have I would develop it myself, like design it myself in my HTML and in my page actually.
uh,
That is
there
also my concern.
yeah
Like
there
I
there
don't
is
want to duplicate the things in a single project. Like
yeah
I don't want to that like duplicate the
there
code.
is there is a card component. I don't know if you can use that in the brand page. Where would you want to use the card in the brand page?
Uh, can you show the like brand page, Sidri? Isn't it a card? I don't know actually.
You mean the colors?
Yeah. Okay.
No, those kind of cards don't exist. You can create a card for that, I think.
Or just like it's just a div on the page that is colored in
Okay.
this
Okay. No
case.
problem. Yeah.
Yeah, no, that's a great question. It's a great distinction. So, Shriti, if you were to visit like the projects page or the books page or posts or really anything, the term cards is being used like this is a collection of individual pages, and so it's a list, and the way it's presented is like as a card, and so and usually like I think a lot of times in my mind the card is an interactive thing, or it's a gateway to, it's a summary of something that you would open up, and so yeah. Anyway, just terminology. But nice. Oh, what else did we have to look at today?
The footer updates, I guess.
Yeah.
Yep. Do we have Pratya on the call?
Yep, I am.
Yay. Do you want to talk us through this?
For the service mesh page, right?
Yep.
Okay, so I talked with buddy who pinged me on Slack. I don't know what's his name, Lolly Party, something like that. So he told me that he's working on the redesigning part of the footer section. So I told him, okay, I'm giving you some time to make it. He was saying that he will make a kind of like design or sketch, something like that, and will send it to me, and then I will consider that if that works or not. For now, it's it.
All right. Could you talk us through the changes you made in your peer?
Okay, so I changed, just a minute. Okay, so I changed the navigation bar, like the dimension, I reduced it and fixed the size of the large SMT brand logo, added a hover color to the nav bar, like the yellow color, uh, and removed the excessive padding issue between the sections. If you scroll down a bit to the start section, yeah, just a little bit, scroll down. Yep, just a bit. Yeah, here actually in the previous site, just scroll up just a bit. Yeah, here. So here in the previous site, the spacing or the gap between the stars, watch and fork was not correctly aligned. So I fixed this too. And also I added the uh, bottom to top button, as you can see. And that's it for now.
That's pretty good. Uh, any feedback?
Yeah, I had a point to make over there. Should if you go back to the top of the page. Yeah. So there is a down arrow pointing at the bottom of the image.
Yep, there is.
Yeah. I
So
forgot that. Yeah.
two parts. That arrow is good, but basically that it doesn't do any functionality. Doesn't perform any functionality.
Uh,
So
okay, I got your point. Like I can add a smooth scroll to that and assign it to the um, service mesh performance part.
No, actually, the thing was, if we have an arrow like that, means the purpose which it actually fulfills, it
Hmm.
should go down to some part of the section, but we don't want that. Means we want the user to scroll down eventually by visiting all the sections from the top. Otherwise, which section will you be pointing to it when it's scrolling?
Yeah, that downward arrow doesn't do anything. It's just for animation.
So means that arrow makes sense for the mobile view. Means you can do it in the mobile view when it clicks, or you can keep it in the desktop view also. When the user clicks on that button, it will go down to the first heading itself. That is what is essential.
Yeah, that was what I am talking about. I mean that, but I didn't opt for that because I guess like the user will scroll down from like it's pretty normal to scroll down, right? So I didn't added that over here. I just added because when the page lands, it opens with the full background view, right? So like with the hero pick on at the background. So that's why I added that arrow.
Sorry, but I lost you in the middle. Can you please?
Okay, so I was saying that I didn't apply what you just said. Like upon clicking on that downward arrow, it will move to the next section, next div tag. I thought someone who is going to the site will scroll down by himself or herself. So yeah, that's it. Like the page lands with the full background view of the hero image at the background. So yeah, that's for it.
Okay, so please, what do others suggest? We should keep that functionality or remove that?
Uh, I don't really think we need that arrow.
Same opinion.
Okay,
We
so
already
remove
have
that.
an up arrow. It's
No, I think Sriti, you can do one thing. You can make the screen size to 100%. It's currently on 90%.
oh, sure. My bad.
Yeah, and if you can refresh the screen a bit,
If I can what?
refresh.
Oh, yeah, sure.
Okay, so here's the part the the landing page opens with the full background view. I mean that the full view of that hero image in the background. So that's why I added that arrow because someone might think that this itself is the whole thing, like a single page thing, right? So yeah, nothing special, but for so maybe if that doesn't looks good, then I can remove that. Just 3 lines of code, I guess.
I guess
No,
the
it looks.
access. Oh yeah, yeah, you go ahead.
No, it doesn't really. Yeah, I mean, overall, like the net overall, the maximization of the hero to fit the size of the user screen, that's fantastic. It's a much better feeling, much better taken care of thing. It's not something that you find on a lot of pages actually. And then having a small indicator to go down is uh, like I don't think it hurts. Um, I don't think that. I mean, it looks again. It makes it look like a well taken care of site, even having the indicator. I think that most people would discover that they could scroll down even if the arrow wasn't there, just because that's what you do on most pages. But I think it's pleasant enough that it sort of fits in with the background image enough that, I mean, it's not annoying and it's soft. It's not like flashing at you, quickly. It's okay.
I think just Shruti just lost the connection.
Oh,
Yeah.
oh yeah.
Also, one more thing, like I need suggestions on the contributor section part because someone was working upon that and he added a horizontal scrolling section like kind of thing. And Lee also said him to add a carousel over there, if I'm not wrong.
Yeah, that the horizontally scrollable logos. That's a good move.
Yeah.
But then, yeah, that there was the scroll bar was literally, yeah, there was some feedback on iterating on that, and I don't think we've heard back from that contributor just yet. It might be good to poke on the issue, or to encourage, I guess, on the issue.
Yeah, I think adding a carousel with autoplay option on, like keeping the autoplay on, would make the work done.
Oh, keeping an auto.
Yeah.
Okay. Oh, yeah, sure.
In that way, we can hide those arrows, like they annoy too much on the other side of the
Oh,
carousel.
yeah. Oh, you know what? I guess, did he make those updates? Because I guess I hadn't seen any
No,
changes
it
since.
has been there since 3 days.
Oh, wow. Okay. I'm behind. Then yeah, I'll go take a look. You probably got the right suggestion. What we don't want to do is create a 1995 like marquee of like scrolling, like, but yeah, if it's done tastefully, like having
Smooth scroll.
having the logos, having an autoplay logo, that's I think what the nice thing about having them horizontally done and not showing them all on the screen at the same time, what it tells people is, hey, there's so many people involved here that we just can't show them to you all at once. So you actually, like, we have to play them out. So that's a good thing to convey. Good feeling.
Yeah, actually, it will make another good thing. Like if we add that, then we don't have to care about more rooms for future.
Right. Yep, it's good. I mean, Neil, let me maybe you should just take and give that feedback to the contributor, because it's been 3 days and I didn't even know it was there. So
okay, sure, I will start making changes.
From the autoplay, I remind like around 3 or 4 weeks ago when the SMP site was just launched, it was something like it was thought of the logos of the companies that were involved were thought to be made of something similar to that, like horizontal autoplay or something, as the 5 logos couldn't be fitted in a single horizontal row. So
Yeah, it's for that part of it. Yes.
Also, if you guys have any suggestion for the footer part, please let me know.
yeah.
okay.
So yeah, you're right, Josh. It is the same discussion. And then on the footer, oops. So this interaction is nice interaction. It's nice and high contrast. There's 2 issues primarily, I think, with the footer. One is that these are really good links, and actually the only place that most of them are is down here, stuffed down in the footer. And so we need to bring them up like into this contributing area. Like, this is like only loosely related to SMP. It's fine to have this, but the point is, like, hey, where do I go to the GitHub to like see this code and what's going on? Well, it turns out the only link to that is stuffed in the footer. So actually it should be, like this. I think the only link, no, I guess I take it back. Here's the code of conduct that has a link to GitHub.
No, the contributing part, yes.
Yeah, but none of them are like directly to, anyway, my point is like one of the things with the footer is we need to we need to pull these out. We can leave them here, it's fine, but I mean, have links to them elsewhere. The other thing is that, yeah, it just so happens that we're using the same, that kind of looks redundant, like we're using the same color and then the same color. it's not, it just so happens that these two are next to each other. It's not horrible, but I think what does end up getting a little bit in the way is here on a blog page that there does need to be, we need to like invert our colors here. Like if this is a white background, we need some separator, some like this needs to be a darker background. Doesn't have to be dark, but it needs to be something else. And depending upon how dark the background gets, we would, if it's, we would need to change the, you know.
Yeah, for the blog page, we can change the color from this color to the color that it has in the nav bar.
Okay, yeah, yep. Right, that makes sense because it's just sort of header, footer, kind of the same, you know. And then, yeah, you could, you know, you would probably do a little bit of coloring on the things. It might be the case that it doesn't always need to be 2 layers tall. Like if it's going to be statically 2 layers tall, maybe we would have 1, 2, 3, 4. Maybe we would move a third one down. I don't know if this is, okay, this is not, yeah, it is responsive. Like, I wonder if it doesn't make sense to kind of have this almost the whole time. It's not bad that the footer is tall. Oh, I see I know what you're asking now, Neil. I think now what you're asking is, hey, you know, when you look at meshry.io or layer5.io, like these things, these sites have significant footers. Like they have resources and links and, you know, and tweets and things. And like, we have a Twitter for SMP. Like, yeah, that makes total sense to me. Yeah, sure. We could do, we can totally do something like this. Or like the layer 5 one. Yeah. It's entirely appropriate. And Neil, actually, for the most part, I like maybe some of the rest of you guys on the call won't like to hear me say this, but man, I want you to just take the SMP site by the horns and just fucking just don't ask for permission. Just, I mean, I haven't seen you suggest something that's, I mean, if you get it wrong, you'll get feedback and we'll correct it. But like, it's kind of hard to get, you know, like it's kind of hard to get wrong. I think of the 20 something suggestions that you had to change the site, to enhance the site, the only one that I really had feedback on was like the diminishing of the, yeah.
I added this part to the doc. If you can open the revamp site, even
sure.
the doc.
So my only issue is that I have a call starting at 8 minutes. Here we go.
Just scroll down a bit.
Try to get this bigger for you guys.
Scroll down. Just a more bit. Yeah, I added that.
Nice. Yeah, the as you take, and I think most of these have issues created for them. If they don't, you don't have to do it for all of them, but one or like it's a good way of inviting new contributors when there's some of these are fairly well constrained, smaller things that others might come to, I'm not come to bear on. Largely, it's great, Neil, that you're doing it directly. Beautiful. If there's a couple in there that you think, oh, you know, maybe somebody else, maybe I wouldn't get to this for a few days, somebody else might try it, you know. Something
sure, I'll create some new issues. Once they're pending.
Well, this is good. What else? Did we miss anything? So, I am desperate. Neil, part of the reason that I'm telling you just go forth and prosper on the site is that, well, if it wasn't for Nikhil largely, actually, people really wouldn't be getting that much feedback, at least from, like, I know Tanuj and Josh, you guys give feedback to yourself and to others, and you guys are doing great. It's really nice. It's really awesome, actually, to see, like, Josh, you having gone from, you know, a point of question of like, is it okay to even create an issue, to like, just in a short little while later, you're over there triaging other people's issues, you're providing feedback on PR, like you're, like how how far you've come so quickly is fantastic. What I'm trying to say is I am clearly, or I hope that you guys feel empowered. Go and make decisions and screw stuff up. It's okay. For my part, the slap on the wrist that you will receive it'll be a course correction, not a slap on the wrist. It's more like, we want the site done promptly, not so fast that we cut corners and it doesn't look good and it's not the right setup for the future, but we do want to move quickly. And so I want to make sure that you guys feel empowered to, and I think that you are. Like, I've seen you guys create issues, do the implementation, give yourselves feedback, accept and merge the PR, the full thing. And I didn't even say anything. So I think that's really cool. Mukul, one item potentially for you, and that is that we've been looking at using Strappy as a visual interface for editing content on Layer5 NG. And Dhruv Patel had stood up a small test instance of Strappy in the past, and he needed to take it down. And now we're without one. And so I guess my ask of you is if you create a free, like a free tier AWS account, or if you have some other account or what have you, if you could deploy a small instance of Strappy,
Yes,
that would be nice.
I have free tier AWS Educate account. I can try it.
Oh, thanks. Yeah, and it doesn't have to have. Don't spend any money on our. Don't. But yeah, we don't have we just need a playground to learn more about Strappy. Try to connect it to Layer5 NG. Try to do some updates in there, and because at some point there'll be others just pumping in content. Like it'll be good.
Okay, sure.
Nice. Yeah. If you get if you make any progress on that before we meet next week, that could be a good thing to kind of present and take people through, to say, here's a playground, here's a couple of credentials. You might want to talk with Tanuj or Nikhil or anyone here and say, hey, I'm trying to connect the Strappy site to the Layer5 NG site. Like just some of that learning will help everybody. It'll help me for sure, because
Yeah, if I find something worth asking, then sure, I will connect with you.
Nice. Very, very good.
Just before we wrap up, I had a point. Means I saw a recent update from Shiti for the meeting minutes table on the Layer5 site, and you popped up a link for meet.layer5.io instead of the
yeah.
link. I saw it. So means we can have that table on that site, that link itself, since it's a subdomain of the Layer5, and that's means a pretty, what should I say, just a text site in which the link doesn't work. I was going to that link today morning.
Yeah, I think there's two things here. We say it again, Nikhil. You said you saw the table, and then what?
You asked Shriti to remove the Zoom link and change it to meet.layer5.io.
Oh, right.
So if you go to the meet.layer5.io, it's a pretty barn site. It doesn't contain anything, just links which
yeah.
are not redirected.
Oh, yeah. You know what? So I was using shorthand in my speech with her to say, not literally use meet.layer5.io, but meet.layer5.io / community or / meshery, or / what we did was, this is actually Mukul, like it could be a point of interest for you, but for the rest of you as well. I have like 1 minute before this next call starts. So what I ended up doing really briefly last night was I'm acknowledging that like we're gonna have to switch from Google Meet over to Zoom entirely because the plan of G Suite that we're on doesn't support recording the meetings, and so we just have to move to Zoom. And it's like, oh, okay, well, now we've got these links in like a bunch of places. We have to go update the links to how to join the meeting. It's like, oh my gosh. We had tried to use Bitly to help abstract and provide a layer of indirection between the links. Well, the thing is we're not paying for a Bitly account, so I don't think that we can go sign in and like update the link that those Bitly links point to. So it's like, geez. So I just created a very extraordinarily small Jekyll site, if you will. It's not a site. It's just, it's not intended to be.
Reactor, kind of.
Yeah, exactly. It's totally that. It's not intended to be a site. It's just intended to be redirects. So meet.layer5.io/community redirects to, or newcomers redirects to. So, but to Nikhil's point, should anyone ever accidentally just like land on meet.layer5.io, if you guys would, maybe guys think about this for a moment. Somebody might want to go update the README or something just to explain what the hell is going on. Like to.
Means we can add that table that we are on the layer 5 side.
Oh yeah, okay, got it. Now I see what you're saying. Cool, cool. That makes sense to me. I gotta go.
Sure.
This has been great, guys. Yeah, Siraj, I'm sure, Tanuj and Josh, and maybe Neil as well. Like those guys, I'm sure that they're going to be spending time. So,
Yeah.
nice. All right, I better not be rude. I'll jump off and see you guys soon.
Yeah.
Bye.
Okay, bye guys.
Bye.
Bye.
Bye, guys.